Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
You're listening to Inside Outer with Lois Moodley.
Welcome to Inside Outer, your weekly podcast that gives you insight into how we at Outer promote civil activism and active citizenship by tackling conversations that drive our democracy further. I'm your host, Lois Moodley, Head of Communications at Outer. Today we have our CEO, Wayne Duvenage, joining us to give us a rundown of the year 2018, the highlights, the milestones, what Outer has achieved, and we're looking forward to 2019. What is in store for us in this upcoming election year, and what are his predictions for 2019? Well, Wayne, thank you so much for making the time to join us. It's our last show of the year. So we're going to look back at the year that was, and it's been an interesting year. But it also in that it's been 5 years since eTolls was started. It's the 5-year anniversary. What do you think the last 5 years have taught us?
Well, it's been a 7-year fight for us. 2012 was when we started the legal fight. But yes, 5 years the scheme has been switched on, and I think it's proved to us that we were right in our challenge, that the scheme had all the hallmarks of failure. It is grossly flawed. But more than anything, it's taught us what resilience is all about. When it comes to civil disobedience, the public weren't fickle. The public had made up their mind and they stuck to their guns, despite the fact that SANRAL threw lots of carrots along the way. They threatened the public along the way. They stood their ground. And I think it also is a testament to Outer's support for those members of the public, in that we stood our ground. We stood behind the public, and together, when civil society and the public connect in the way that Outer has done on this eToll matter, we make magic. And the magic is that a very irrational scheme that was going to benefit entities that should never have benefited in the way they have, and SANRAL would have been the beneficiaries of a very deceitful campaign. We can change that, and we have. Although the scheme still limps on, it's a matter of time. We believe 2019 will change that. Government is confused. They don't know what to do about this matter, and I think they're confused because it's hard for government to eat humble pie. You know, we're in a new democracy. We shouldn't be government shouldn't be forced to change its mind on decisions it makes when public rise up. I mean, those were the issues of apartheid. And here we have a democratically elected government, and still we have the people defying. And when the people defy a government, government starts to suffer from a crisis of legitimacy, as I've always said. They don't know how to manage their laws. They don't know how to manage these processes, and they become a bit schizophrenic and confused. And that's exactly what's happened here. What they need to do, engage with us, listen to their critics, eat the humble pie if need be, apologize to the people, and let's move on together. And I think that's where we are, that crossroads coming.
Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of governments making progress, we've seen the start of the Zondo Commission, or the state capture inquiry. Do you think this is a step in the positive direction? What's your take on this?
Very good direction. You know, we've come out of commissions and inquiries of the past where I think people have stopped trusting in them, stopped believing that they're going to bring about any change. And that's understandable, especially on the arms deal. There was so much corruption. And for that inquiry to rule that there was nothing untoward was a farce. People get fed up. This year we saw two commissions, the Nugent Commission on the state of SARS and the Zondo Commission on state capture. And both of them have produced incredibly good, positive feedback to society. It's about removing all the emotion of headlines and stories that we all know about, and it's about giving clarity to what really happened. What were the underlying fundamental issues that gave rise to? So this picture now gets colored in nicely. It's not just an outline. It's not just a one-page cartoon, so to speak. This is a story, a narrative that's starting to develop. Nugent Commission did very well in exposing what Tom Moyane and his henchmen have done in SARS, decimated an excellent institution, and given the president enough to make decisions, hard decisions. Remove him, and let's start fixing that institution. Well, the State Capture Commission is going to do the same thing for Cyril Ramaphosa over a longer period of time. But hopefully the Hawks, hopefully the NPA are watching what's happening there, because they will now take that information and be able to start laying charges. That's what we're looking forward to.
Well, we're seeing a bit of a turnaround, right? So recently you've seen that Jacob Zuma has been ordered to pay his own legal costs. Do you think this is part of that undoing the corruption during his administration? It's
lovely to see all the things that weren't happening in the past under the Zuma era now coming to the fore. So all these, tick all these boxes. You know, the appointment of the new NPA head recently. Prior to that, the Hawks head. Still a lot of rot to fix up in those institutions. SIU working well. Courts working well, now ordering Zuma to pay his legal costs. These are good indications that the rule of law is starting to roll, starting to take its course. And if we have more of that in 2019, we will improve public sentiment, citizen sentiment, investor sentiment. We are a country on the move for greater things.
Do you not think that this is politicking on the ANC's part? That it's coming into an election year, and they're kind of making the right noises, but do you think they'll follow through?
Yeah, look, everything is politics. We must never forget the fact that you have a president who's the head of the ANC. You have an election coming up, and so there's going to be a lot of decisions made that Cyril Ramaphosa positions from an ANC perspective. And so you do start to question, is this politics or not? But it all does boil down to it. However, he is also the president of the country, and he does come from a position that things have to change. He is sincere. And so we see these recent appointments as real appointments for the country. And if it is a farce, if it is politicking, well, that will come to the fore quite quickly. And OUTA will step in very, very fast and make sure that those people are held accountable. So we don't want another Sean Abrams at the head of the NPA. We want moral courage. We want Shamila to really start doing the work that we've been asking that institution to do, the Hawks as well. The SIU have been given a whole new lease of life in the last 12 months or so. We've been working quietly behind the scenes, seeing incredible energy. Even while Jacob Zuma was there, there were people inside. So there's a lot of good people in government, a lot of good work being done. And I think once those balls start rolling, politics is not going to be able to stop that. Not now, because we've got a lot of work to do. And if there's politics at play and shams that come to the fore, we more than ever before and civil society will expose that and come down hard. And that's why we've got to continue our work. That's why OUTA needs to continue to grow and get more supporters.
In a recent article, you stated 2018, the year that wasn't for SA, 2019, the year that has to be. Can you share some of your sentiments that you shared in this article, the Ramaphoria versus Rama reality?
So look, 2018 started out amazingly. I mean, here we had a new head of the ANC, Jacob Zuma, who society had become absolutely fed up with. The extent of the corruption and the lack of accountability, everything pointed to, and remember, Parliament to try to remove, or elements of Parliament try to remove President Zuma on a number of occasions. I mean, I don't think we've ever had, and any country's ever had, motions of no confidence against a president like we've had. And he stuck, and he hung in there, and things were changing, but the last hope that we had to remove him was that ANC conference, and everything pointed to him standing his ground there and his faction winning. And there would have been more of the same, lack of accountability, corruption running rife, and a demise. We would have been in junk status by now. In fact, a long time ago. So we were elated. Here comes Cyril Ramaphosa doing a deal, managing to scrape in with a victory. And wow, all the possibilities of what a new president could bring, a president who was against corruption, a president who was for good governance. This is what we wanted. So we expected a lot to happen. And while a lot was happening, a new cabinet reshuffle, removal of a lot of Zuma's henchmen, not much happened. So it was a bit of a year of nothing. Nothing in the sense that the one fundamental thing that people are looking for is accountability. We want those people who have been clearly involved in corruption to be taken to task, to be prosecuted, to be in jail. And they need to be there, and there's enough evidence. And none of that happened. And so what we saw going towards the end of 2018 was people becoming doubtful, people speculating, are we really, is Ramaphosa really the person that's going to take us out of this mess? Why has nothing happened? You know, when we had a lot of job summits and investment summits, but these were talk shops. Nothing has flowed from those. So a lot of expectation and a lot of a letdown. And that's why I say 2018 was a year that it was a stagnant year. Business sentiment hasn't picked up. Immigration is reaching record heights. Investment hasn't taken place. It's been an extremely tough year for this country. But I think the foundation has been laid for an incredible opportunity going forward.
It's got a bit of a good and bad at the same time.
Yeah.
So like more recently, he had a cabinet reshuffle. He merged telecoms and comms, which is a very positive move. I mean, we know that Zuma kind of ballooned his cabinet, and so he's undoing some of this.
Yeah.
But then the new minister for telecoms and comms goes and starts to interfere in the SABC. So
yeah, and again the questions arise. You know, political meddling in a very important institution that is, about getting the message of the elections across next year. And while Cyril Ramaphosa did say in his recent interview on 702 that, look, this is not about political meddling, that's where the doubt starts to set in. We cannot have a minister, distancing herself from a board. You have to, especially a board like Krishna Adu and those guys who resigned that have shown their moral courage. And, I'd rather have him on than off that SABC board. So this worries us.
Well, let's take a quick break and we'll be back.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Engage in active citizenry. Join us weekly on Inside Outer.
And we're back. So Wayne, looking at 2019, going forward, what are your predictions? What does the year ahead look like for us?
So I think if we just wrap up on 2018, a great foundation has been laid. The opportunities for the president to really take this country forward, heighten its prosperity, its productivity, its investment levels. He's done a lot of the groundwork. It's slower than we wanted, but it's there. So what do we need now going forward? What does 2019 look like? Well, it is still going to be a bit of a year of limbo until the elections. Unfortunately, from an investment and a job creation point of view, nobody is doing anything until the end of that elections, because that election will really set the scene and tell the world what the public are feeling about the ANC's ability to do the job that they say they're going to do. How strong does the opposition become? Does the opposition, for instance, take over the running of Gauteng as a province, which is what happened in the past? If you look at the Western Cape, the DA first won the city and then won the province. They've won 2 of the metros in the cities in Gauteng. So they stand a good chance, probably have only through a coalition, though, of winning the province. I think the ETOL matter is going to be a big playing field there, and maybe government comes to its senses and pulls the plug, and that might change the dynamic of what happens here. So those are things we're going to be watching very closely, and thereafter If things go right, if the signal is positive, the NPA head has already started moving. Some prosecutions in the right places are happening. The Hawks are becoming successful in some arrests. Then we will see good things happening. Then we will see public sentiment and investment picking up. But what is still missing, and this is what frustrates us about Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership, is that we haven't had the corruption summit. We have a national anti-corruption strategy, which looks good on paper, but its implementation is what is weak. And, if you're going to deal with corruption as a state, rampant corruption that has permeated every level of government, then Cyril Ramaphosa has to be more serious about the mechanisms that he puts in place. What I mean by that, we need to have dedicated corruption courts. We need to have a dedicated process, which includes corruption courts, whistleblowing processes that enables people to bring the information forward, a very strong message to those who are corrupt out there, possibly even an amnesty process. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying amnesty is the right way, but like a truth and reconciliation process, because when you want to clean out something, you need to offer this opportunity, come clean, let's go through this process, let's heal. It's a process of healing, and from here on, anybody who acts in a corrupt manner, we're going to take you out of the system. You're going to jail. And if you have been in the past, let us know, bring back the money, and your penance is going to be the humiliation, the suffering, and maybe not the jail time. So there's a whole process. Now, it's quite an exciting process that I think he could put together. And we could learn from Georgia, from Afghanistan, from other countries that have gone down this road. And yet we're not doing anything meaningful in that space. So there is a space that I think the president has to become more meaningful and more sincere on, and we don't see that, or don't see enough of it. So that would be exciting in 2019. That's what we're going to push for. We're going to push for tax reduction or no tax increases. We've made nice submissions in government in the last year. And in this last year, we've made great submissions in parliamentary portfolio committees. So OUTA's role is going to expand in that space and holding government to account. And that's where I think we've got some exciting stuff to do. For us, 2018 was a year of consolidation. It was a year of finishing off a number of the projects that we'd opened. In the first 2 years of our new journey, we'd opened over 105 projects, but we weren't closing enough. We focused on project management a lot more, got our structures more refined and productive. We've closed off 45 of those projects. 83% of those were successful for us. These are projects in the transport space, education, in the space of water, environmental matters, in SASA and other areas like that, and on transport, as we say. So really exciting things that have taken place for OUTA. Next year, though, it's about making sure that we get traction on our local government strategy. That's going to be exciting, making sure that we deal with corruption and maladministration at municipality level. It's a big project, but we're not going to take our eye off the ball on holding national government, provincial governments to account and dealing with a rampant corruption that continues in the CETAs and in other areas where whistleblowers are giving us fantastic information. So our work is cut out for us, and really I think this is the time that we need to thank our supporters, because without them, we are nothing. They are our oxygen. And here I talk about contributing supporters. We've got a lot of people that love our work, but not enough people coming forward to say, here's my 100 Rand a month, here's my 150 Rand a month. That is what we call active citizenry. And yes, while there are tens of thousands of them doing that, if we could double that, we could double our output. We could take our team from 50 people to 100 people, take on far more cases, bring on more investigators, legal analytics that is required in this space, and we could go and do so much more. So that's our journey as well, getting our marketing strategy right, getting our comms strategy right, so that we can make people more aware of the good work that we're doing, because we have found that a lot of people like what we do, but they're not quite sure And we're a bunch of professionals and specialists in dealing with corruption and maladministration, but we also got to become better at marketing how we do it and what we do. And that's going to be exciting for us as we inject our organization with that expertise. So exciting year ahead for OUTA, an exciting year ahead for the country. And thanks to all our supporters. Without you, we couldn't do it. You are everything to us. We are here because of you. In fact, this is your organization, not ours. So keep supporting us and have a great break. Have a safe break. Recharge those batteries because we're going to need all the energy we have to inject to turn this country around.
Well, thank you, Wayne Duvenich. That was our CEO, Wayne Duvenich, talking to us about 2018 and 2019. What can we expect in this election year? Join us on social media. That's at OUTA SA on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Or you can visit our website, www.outa.co.za. We always enjoy hearing from you. So please give us your comments and share our posts over the holiday season, and have a wonderful festive season. Be safe, and we'll see you in 2019.
Demand good governance. Join us weekly on Inside OUTA.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za